hear yourself okay?
I can hear myself okay. Yes, I sure can.
I found that volume setting that I couldn't find. I'm new at this, you know?
Yeah, well, you kill it. You do a pretty good job. So
Thanks. Hey, how's it going?
good.
Welcome back. Thanks for coming to
Thanks.
talk to me again.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here today.
You were
Thanks for flying me out.
Your travel expenses are so manageable.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. You were a big hit. People have a lot of questions. People really liked the video that we recorded.
Yeah. Well, um, hopefully we'll get a even better response this time.
Yeah.
And I got you. A better response this time. Or a bigger response, and people will actually throw in some questions, and we'll do it again. We'll keep doing it.
Definitely. Just FYI for your information, the hottest part of the mic is right straight ahead.
Okay.
I did get a few questions from a few people when people were giving me feedback, but maybe they'll be brave and leave comments on the video this time.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
So one of our friends has a little dog, and I know there is some misconceptions around little dogs. People think that little dogs are not really trainable.
Correct.
And people think that older dogs aren't really trainable.
Correct.
So my friend has a dog, and she's had this dog for a while. Dog's name is Badu. Shout out to Badu. And she was concerned about a little bit of separation anxiety and wondered, how would you start thinking about retraining the dog's thinking at this point?
Well, it's about teaching new behavior patterns, right? Very similar to if we want to change things within our own life. So part of what you've got to do is, one, a lot of people go right to the fact that it's a separation anxiety, and it isn't always that. So there's a lot of variables as to what may cause that. Um, you know, is it boredom?
Right,
Is
right.
it, X, Y, or Z? Somebody walking by the house and the dog starts barking and then kind of gets stuck in this pattern and just spends the time while you're gone.
Yeah, right. Like a
barking
dog
at
walker
stuff
every day at 10 o'clock and every day at 3 o'clock or something like
goes
that.
by, or
Yeah.
or the mailman. A lot of people say, "Oh, my dog hates the mailman." Well, every day the mailman pulls up about the same sort of time frame, comes, the dog barks, loses its mind, and then the threat leaves. So, okay, so there's a lot of variables. What's making the dog bark or have that sort of behavior? Now, in this sort of an example, the other thing that we have to be conscious of is, are we accidentally rewarding the behavior we don't want?
What do you mean?
Well, so, there's a lot of ways that things happen, but there's 5 common types of praise that we use in dog training. And one's verbal praise, so just when we say good dog. Another's physical praise, when we pet the dog. Another is body language, and specifically like a smile, or that, kind of scowl if the dog does something that I don't approve of. Right, dog jumps on me, and that's not acceptable. So verbal praise, physical, body language, food with most dogs, and then the last one is a release word that we use, and that's just free. So I've asked my dog to do something; it no longer has to maintain that positioning anymore, or any other actions for me. I say free. Okay, so now let's back up. So let's say my dog is doing something and I go to try to comfort it. It's nervous, it's scared.
So barking at the mailman.
Well, yes, yep, it could be that. Barking at anybody, right? And whether it's out of excitement or whether it's the fact that I want to go eat you. And we start petting the dog to try to comfort it, calm it, just like we would a child, or
like I just did. Like,
correct,
right. Yeah.
When you try to keep me from getting too anxious. And so
Or keep you in the frame.
she set this up, so I don't know what to tell you. All right. So
Accidentally rewarding.
So in that kind of a case, we reinforce the behavior we don't want, because over and over and over and over, we continue to, let's say, pick the dog up and start to kind of pet it and tell it that it's okay, the mailman's not that bad, or whatever it might be.
Sure.
We then just reinforce that behavior, and we really teach the dog, mistakenly, but that this is what I want you to act like around this sort of a stimuli. When I've worked with protection dogs, and you're, suited up in the bite suit, or you've got, a bite sleeve on, when the dog actually engages and you're teaching it to bite, you pet the dog while it's hanging off of you.
Right. I've seen that.
And so, and specifically the decoy or the helper. And so the dog is on you and you pet them because that's the exact behavior you want.
Right.
Or the dog's barking and bouncing up and down and showing its teeth. You pet the dog, you praise it, you tell it how good it is, because, that's the exact behavior and actions that you wanted out of the dog. So, now we go back to, have I accidentally rewarded this behavior, right? Like, let's say I leave the room and the dog starts barking and loses its mind, and I run right back into the room.
Right.
And, it's okay. What's the matter? Oh, it's okay, buddy. I'm right here.
Pick them up and cuddle them.
Yeah. Right then I've said that's the exact behavior I want you to display when I'm not there or when I leave the room. Okay, so we can accidentally reward some of these or a lot of these behaviors without even meaning to. So, that kind of that conditioned response kind of a deal. And so when we look at that, that's part of it. Okay, how do we start changing this sort of a thing? Well, there's a few ways. One, if I can take the attention off the fact that I'm leaving, okay? So it really, a lot of people will make a big deal of the fact that they're leaving, they're going to work, they're doing X, Y, or Z.
Be a good boy while Mommy's gone.
I'll be back soon.
I promise. Be so good.
Right, blowing them kisses and make a big deal out of it. Well, you're already winding the dog up to then walk out and shut the door. Okay, you've also cued the dog into the fact that you're leaving. Now, we talked in our last time how important I feel crate training is. Okay, well, if my dog is crate trained, which in a lot of cases I find that these dogs that have these sort of tendencies were dogs that never... Sorry,
That's
I just want to adjust this.
I know. I want to help. Tell me how to help. That's perfect.
Okay, so in that's kind of an example. I find that a lot of these dogs haven't had a lot of structure in their life, and so suddenly now they're not used to even being alone. But let's go back to the specifics. So if I'm trying to sneak out the door, and let's say the dog is crate trained, some of the things I can do is, and I say this a lot, is give the dog something that it can work on while it's in the box, and hopefully take the attention off of me. So one thing that I just always toss out, a Kong that maybe I've filled up with something, non-flavored yogurt, or pumpkin, like the canned pumpkin you can get at the store. You can take their food, soak it in water for about 20 minutes, throw some chicken broth in there with it, and then in all those cases we put it in the Kong and we put the Kong in the freezer. So now I've made a little bit of a popsicle. It's going to last them a little bit longer. I'm going to give them less at meal times, or maybe even withhold the meal time altogether. Yeah, because if my dog just ate, why is it going to be hungry?
Maybe that's their breakfast. Is in the
100%. Yes, right.
Brilliant.
So, now my dog, I go and I toss that in the crate with him. I just shut the door. I make no big deal about it. And then I just leave.
Yeah.
Right.
And now the dog's been all double, triple rewarded being in the kennel, eating and everything.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And so, and I've also taken hopefully some attention off the fact that I'm leaving, because now the dog is busy with it.
I love
and
that.
again, that whole, restricting the actual mealtime or the amount that you give during mealtime, I'm going to give that to the dog anyway. So a lot of people get really concerned about, oh, but my dog's not going to have breakfast. Your dog is going to get plenty of food, within those times, and at least in the beginning,
Right.
maybe a little less food at meal times or no meal time per se, like a food bowl on the
Right.
ground, right? um, to get them through that training part and hopefully to make them successful. Okay, now here's the other thing that we start doing is we leave in very short increments.
Mm,
Okay, so I may not even be going anywhere. And
sure.
again, if the dog is a crate trained, that makes it so much easier because the dog can't run around the
Yep.
house
And
and
safer.
wind itself up
Oh,
more.
yeah.
Okay, because once they get too excited, it's very hard for them to come back off that ledge,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so if they're in a crate, there's a lot less room for them to run around and get wound and bouncing off the walls. You only have this much space to
For
do that,
sure.
right? And so that's one component to it. So then I can also, head out the door, come back in. Again, the same sort of a trick where I've given the dog something special to work on in there, and I might only walk out the door for 2 minutes
Mm,
and come back in before the dog loses
right.
its mind and starts freaking out. And I'll
Right.
go in and I'll get the dog back out of the crate.
Before it even has a
And
chance to get upset and
correct.
behave badly.
Because if I were to come back in and it's in a panic mode,
Yep.
and then I go let it out of the crate, again, I've rewarded the behavior. It wanted to come out, it's panicked, and all of a sudden I go let you out. I'm saying this exact behavior gets you
Right.
exactly what you
Yep.
wanted.
Yep.
So I have to try to catch them, or not try. I
Set
really
it
got to
up.
catch it when
Yeah.
they aren't in that freak out
Wow.
spot.
Yeah.
And that's a big piece that again we don't think of. And we kind of really ran into this sort of a scenario a lot people weren't used to, the separation stuff,
Mm-hmm.
until COVID,
Right. Because
right? Because
everything changed so
well,
much.
and we everybody got dogs, right?
Yeah.
And then they're home with the dogs all the time.
Keep talking. I'm going to check on the camera. You just keep talking.
So the dog um isn't ever alone, right? It always had some family member at the house for what, 18 months,
Yeah.
essentially, in a lot of
Right.
cases, right? And so then all of a sudden we went to go back to work. One of the things that would have been a huge game changer for a lot of these dogs was having to learn how to be alone in that time frame. So
Such a big
okay, I'm going to
change.
put you in a crate and you're going to be in the other room where you can't get near me, you can't anything, and learn how to self-soothe,
Mm.
learn how to be alone. And that's something that they've got to learn how to do. And I mean, right now, as we sit here doing this, my dogs would be fine. They're not going to do anything horrible.
Yeah.
They're not going to burn the place down. Where are my dogs right now? They are in their crates.
Yep.
And they're denning animals. And that is, their spot. And so they can go in there and have their time away from us while we're out here doing our thing. Because I'm home all the time.
Right. You work from home.
Right.
Right.
So these guys are around me all the time. I have to put up some of those boundaries and barriers so they can,
It's good for everyone.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and so they can be well rounded. I'm not trying to be mean. It's not that I don't love my
Yeah.
dogs. That's why I do the things I do, is because I love my dogs.
Do you know what comes to mind immediately is that crate training, like if I go help our friend Erica,
Mhm.
right, and let her dogs out, they're crate trained. And because of that, I am able to help with her dogs better. Because of that, we would be more confident with someone coming to help with our dogs because of how well our dogs are crate trained, right? And we have that routine.
Well, and there really are some other factors. When we start talking about crates, yeah, it can be tough because a lot of people put human thoughts and emotions into it.
Sure.
I wouldn't want to be in a crate. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be either, but I'm not a dog.
I think I would like it.
Yeah, you would. But in that kind of a case, they really are denning animals.
Yes.
And enclosed crates are far better for most dogs than open wire
Like a
ones.
fishbowl.
Yeah, open wire ones, it's not a den. Everyone can see me. Everything can get to me.
I'm
I'm
exposed and I'm
not right.
stuck
I'm
and
not curled up in the corner feeling
yeah.
safe, and like nothing else can get a hold of me. And they really are like that. And a lot of times I'll talk about that with people, and they'll go, "Oh, well, my dog always sleeps underneath the kitchen table."
Yeah, guess
Or
why?
my dog always goes and sleeps behind the
'Cause under
couch
my
between
legs
the
or
yeah,
yeah.
the couch and the wall.
Yeah.
And that's, those are the
They're looking
reasons
for their little
why.
den, yeah.
Correct. I have some clients, my dogs go under the bed. Yeah, because they're
Right.
that denning animal. So let's provide that for them. So it really it to be able to do even that simple thing
Mhm.
of you can go into your space and I can go into mine, and you can learn how to handle being alone.
Yeah.
The safety of a crate also is if there was some sort of a tragedy in my house when I'm not home, I would rather have my dog in a spot that if fire and rescue have to come into my home,
Sure.
there's a few things. One, it's easy to locate the animal. I mean, they're going to see the crate
That's
sitting
true.
there. That makes it much easier for them to locate
I
the
had never
animal.
thought of that.
There's also the factor of when dogs get afraid, any animals,
Mhm.
but fight, flight, or freeze, right? Those are what goes on within the response of, animals and
Yeah,
humans.
living
But
creatures.
now I take this dog that's got whatever tragedy going on around it,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna have somebody kick in my door or bust out my windows to get into my home.
Yeah.
Now I've got a scared creature that very well may turn
Yeah,
just
could bite the
because.
person
Oh, a
because of the
hundred
stress, yeah.
percent,
So
yeah.
it's much safer to have them in a crate.
Oh, by far. They don't go run and hide under the bed. Everybody thinks that their dog would run out if there was some sort of
That the
catastrophe.
dog would leave the house. They would
Yeah,
get
and
out. Not likely.
that is not
They would
accurate.
hide,
Well,
most
or
likely.
again, the fear could be dangerous
Right.
involving, those.
Anyone, really.
Well, 100%. That's why dogs ride in crates in our vehicles.
Right. Oh, don't even get
You
me started on that. We could
know.
probably do a whole sit down on that.
Yeah, well, 100%. But
Well,
yeah,
one of the questions we're sort of switching gears a little bit here. We were talking about separation anxiety and we're kind of switching into this crate training discussion. But one of the questions that somebody wanted to ask you was, I think it was Johnny Lay. I think he said, like, what's the one thing that you wish a dog don't
shout
Okay.
out Johnny Lay.
Shout out to Johnny Lay. Holla. So he said something to the effect of, "What's the one thing that you wish people knew?" Like with the, and I want to guess what you're gonna say. I want to guess. I have two guesses. One is get a trainer. It doesn't have to be us, but like get a trainer.
Yeah.
And the second one is about crate training. Like don't like do it. Get on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. You're right. To start off with a trainer is far better than waiting until there's a problem.
Right.
Because it's easier to teach the positive behaviors you want than to try to undo negatives.
For sure.
And that's
People
whether,
too.
well, it just is, right? We can teach them how we want them to behave. So
Mm.
I do agree with that 100%. I very much agree with the crate training part. I guess those are a couple of the big ones.
Yeah.
And also the myth that your dog would protect you, because in most cases, your dog is not.
It's not like on the
designed-
movies.
Well, and it's not one of those protection trained police dogs,
Yeah.
military dogs,
So it's not gonna think
personal
that
protection
way.
dogs. No, that takes a lot of work, and so a lot of people have too much faith in their dogs revolving around
Right
that
on.
factor.
Yeah. I can see that. I want to touch back on the accidental reward thing again
Yes, ma'am.
briefly.
Yep.
It reminded me about lightning and fireworks,
Yes.
right? Like that is I think that's a real, we see on the socials.
Thunder.
Shake and bake. Okay. you see on the socials around 4th of July and stuff like that, like people go crazy about
Yeah.
fireworks and they say that you shouldn't even have fireworks because it's so mean to dogs.
Well, they're not conditioned to those loud noises. And, again, even if you were trying to condition any sort of dog that had to be around loud noises, gunfire,
Mm-hmm.
your hunting dogs, things like that, you would never just throw the dog, or at least in a perfect scenario, right under the bus and start, shooting off
Just next
very
to him. Poof,
loud
poof. Yeah.
weapons, right? You would condition the dog over time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this sort of a
Systematically.
thing, yeah, in
Yeah.
this sort of a case, one of the problems that we run into, thunderstorms, fireworks, again, they're so infrequent, and all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden we just go to these loud, thunderous bangs that shake the house. Well, my dog gets scared. What do I do?
What's my
Right?
behavior like?
Well, and most people are going to go run and cuddle the dog and try to really teach
Thunder
it.
vest.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah.
I'm talking the 100%. It's okay. Oh,
Right.
and that picking the dog up and petting it and trying to nurture it and love it through it. You just
Like we would,
can't.
because people appreciate that usually, right? So that's what we think about.
Well, that's what we would do. That's a human response,
Yeah.
right? If somebody showed you that kind of a response, right? If it was a kid, what would you do?
Right.
Right? You would
Comfort,
go, right.
physical affection, and yeah.
Right. You would go and comfort that kid, and you
Yeah.
would really try to. Or an adult, if it was, freaking out about something, it's still the same sort of a scenario, that same sort of a vibe. So anyway, the bottom line is, in those kind of cases, one, if I have a dog that has some sort of an understanding of even basic commands, sit down, stay, heel, come.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it may be very hard, but if I can get the dog to even follow through with some basic things and be successful at things that I can praise, reward it for,
Yeah.
and hopefully draw that attention off of, over the just nurturing and mollycoddling because of that noise. Let's say there's nothing I can do to try to pull attention off of successfully.
Mm.
That's where we go back to crate training is a great tool. And if it's a spot that they've become safe and
Sure.
safe feeling in, they may still be afraid while they're in there.
But they'll know
And
I'm safe in my crate.
correct, and it's a more secure spot, and it's theirs, and they understand that. And again, I'm not saying that it would just take away the fear, but on the other hand, it could definitely add that sort of comfort. And
Mm.
now the dog's not running around spazzing out, getting more
Right.
wound up, and I'm not falling into an accidental
Enabling.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. That's
right,
what it is.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I'd ever put that word on it like that, but that, yeah. Yeah. Guilty of that. You really helped me learn about that. That my response and my behavior with the dog is so important to communicate what's happening. Is it okay? And what do I want? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So another question that came up was about dogs and toys and how sometimes the dogs don't seem to understand when it's their turn or that that's not theirs. That is that dog's, not yours.
So, you've even seen it around our own home. I'm pretty big on regulating play and toys,
Sure. Yes.
because that can be something that accidentally can trigger, one
Yeah.
animal to another.
Yeah. Belle, right?
Wha-
With our downstairs neighbor.
Well, yeah,
That's a
yes.
good example.
It, yeah, I mean, 100%. Belle was playing with Dryden and Taser,
Mm-hmm.
and they were out in the yard, and then all of a sudden some toys got involved, and things got pretty ugly pretty quick with the combination of the
Kid running
kid
around. Yeah.
toys, and Belle felt that she had to regulate that situation, and it got kind of ugly. But
And
I'm
Belle and
even
Taser had
talking
been best
right.
friends. Yeah.
But I'm even talking just within our own home right
Yeah.
now. Thumper can really be a turd. And the minute Red takes interest in a bone, she wants on top of it.
Right.
And she would steal it right out of his mouth if we let him.
Yeah, she creeps right up.
Oh yeah, and that's even because we have so much hopped on top of it that she doesn't just go to try to, quick grab it and run. Uh, she definitely plots it out now because she's got to do it sneaky from us as well.
Right.
But you're not allowed to steal Red's bone.
Mm-mm.
You're not that kind of a thing. That's yours. That's his. You go find your own. You don't get to steal his because with all groups of dogs, um, whoever's got whatever, that's what
That's what I
everybody
want.
wants.
Right. I don't want
Right.
mine. I want
Correct.
theirs.
Correct. So, we really regulate that. And if back was turned and
Supervise it.
all of
Yeah.
a sudden, Thumper did somehow steal something from Red, then we go right over and this is not yours.
Yeah. We
And
reconcile it. Do
correct.
stern face.
Right. And this is what goes down and you get your own. And if, that kind of a thing continues, then we'll
Nobody gets a bone.
separate. Well, we'll take Thumper and I keep throwing her under the bus. Red can be
He is a booger about it.
He can be a turd too.
He'll bait her.
Well, yeah, and there are times that definitely they can, try to cause more trouble than others.
Yeah.
Generally, between 3 and 5 in the afternoon,
Right.
leading up to dinner time. And so,
Boogers.
anyway, I highly regulate that. You got to be careful with things like tug of war, and I say that all the time. Between two dogs, because all of a sudden it just can go ugly real fast. And so, sure enough,
it can cross into play to not play.
Well, so with our own dogs, I'm so not personally into you two fight over this toy,
Yeah.
right? But Thumper and Red, they were playing and they don't play like wrestle with each
No.
other. And so they both had a hold of a toy, a rope, and I was regulating it.
And we've done this several times.
I regulated it hard, and they just had fun and played, and it was not a big deal, but I still was uneasy about it anyway. But the bottom line was one day Thumper got the rope from Red, and she was shaking her head with it, and he went to go grab back onto it and missed it. Yeah. And got the side of her face. And luckily Red has
no teeth,
right?
Pretty much.
So
his teeth are all worn down.
Yeah,
he's a street dog.
Yeah,
he from the streets.
Yeah. So he
and luckily Thumper is who she is. Her personality.
She just froze.
She was like,
"Dude, what the?"
She just stood there.
Yep.
He's hanging off her face.
Yep. And so fortunately, she didn't, scrap back, and it took a few seconds to get him off of there. Like, he really thought he had the tug.
I really think he did. So, he did not think he thought he was on the rope.
No,
so we had to convince him to let go.
Because it was a bit of a longer rope. I think it's maybe 2 feet or so.
Yeah.
And so it's a rope. I don't know if I already said it. But,
tug, with knots, yeah.
Right. She was just shaking her head around. And like I said, he went to go grab back onto it and just missed it.
Missed.
Yeah. And so, fortunately, it didn't leave any lasting problems between the two of them. But, that's where I really am careful. And if it's going to be time to play, you two can play together. You don't have to play with a toy.
Right. And let's talk about our behavior in that moment. Like, we have had the good fortune. I have had the good fortune, let me say it this way, of having the opportunity to have these discussions because you live in the same house with me, right? So we've actually talked about what should you do if the dogs get into a fight? How should you help? What should you help? What should you do? How do you behave? So many people have said after the fact, you know what I mean? I wish I knew what to do. And so after that, back to Belle and Taser, the moms tried to get them together one more time in the backyard and they fought again. And because you had coached me, I knew what to do. And I think I was useful in that moment. But so I want you to talk about it though, because I'm afraid I'll say the wrong thing.
Yeah. So, uh, it's tough and it's scary. There's a
So don't
lot.
panic.
Well, the best you can. Um, I've been doing this a long time, so I just kind of shift into a mode. Like I don't even think about it. I just shift into gear. Like it. I don't really think about it. I'm calm and cool and collected the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yep.
chaos is the worst is when I
Yep.
am, I'm the one you
Yeah.
want. And so
Seriously. I was a bit of a puddle, a little bit of a noodle,
and,
but
and so in that kind of a case, right? I've heard the grab their legs. I've heard grab them by the tail. I've
mm,
heard a lot of things. And, if you grab and just start trying to peel two dogs that are fighting apart, you run a lot of risk of um, tearing flesh, right?
yeah.
Because they bite on,
Oh,
and then I go to pull them off while they still
okay.
have a mouthful of
So
that
making wounds
sort of a
worse.
thing. Yep. So, how do you really step in to take care of this? Um, you have to restrict airflow.
Mm-hmm.
So, a dog is
Mm-hmm.
not going to let itself pass out.
So don't yank on the leash.
Correct. What you need to do is, and for me, dogs always have collars
Mm,
on, but I grab a hold of the collar and I try to now elevate the dog if I can
sure.
up off the ground, at least the front legs,
Yep.
because now I've taken even more um,
Of their
leverage
leverage. Yep.
away,
Right.
right? So, and it's got to be, with both essentially when right before the dog is going to
Yeah.
pass out,
Right.
it gasps for a
Right. It's
breath of
going to
air.
open its mouth.
Correct. And then that's when you would pull the
Right.
two apart and you're now making things much safer in the long term and much less destruction with the two dogs screaming, yelling, throwing things at them, that's not going to do
Right.
anything but make the situation
I think
worse.
people think they're going to break the dog's attention
Yeah,
or
it's
something,
not.
right? Is that
Dogs,
it's not
we've
how it
talked
works.
about this, and dogs feed off of energy. So all of a
Right.
sudden, I start yelling and screaming and shrieking.
It's
It's
almost
just going to
like
escalate it.
encouraging them. Yeah.
Correct. And
And that pulling feeling, right? That they like that pulling feeling sometimes.
well,
Like it's not an
it,
adverse, doesn't tell them
it,
stop.
no, it actually can create even more of that fight.
The drive to, yeah.
Correct. And so, as harsh as it sounds when you say, you got to stop airflow,
Yeah.
however
I need the dog to open
possible.
their mouth.
Well, and you're not in that moment, you're not going to pry their
Mm-mm.
mouth
Oh
open. It's
no.
not going to happen. If you were to have a situation like that, suddenly the dog is far stronger than you could ever
Oh
imagine
yeah.
that dog is. And that's just because, again, they kick into a whole different gear. This is life or
Sure.
death at that moment.
Yeah, it's just their biology,
Right.
right? It's their programming. Wow. That is thankful. Thank you. I think that was a really useful discussion. I hope that answered the questions for my friends who had questions about that. Another sort of in the same line of thinking about like unpredictable or predictable aggression behavior in a dog. Um, I went to give my dog its usual kiss on the head and he snapped at me. I think I scared him and then he seemed sorry later, but I don't know how I should feel about that. So that question came in response to they had watched our video before where we talked about hugging dogs and stuff. So I kind of want to revisit that.
Mm.
And I think that she was right. I think that probably she did startle the dog, right? Maybe.
Well, it's hard. I wasn't there.
Dog,
So
right.
again, did you startle the dog? Whatever that sort of a
What else was
scenario
happening in
may
the
have been.
house that
Yeah, I
day?
don't know. There's so many variables in that one moment,
Sure.
right? But if my dog is laying there asleep, I'm not gonna go poke it. Well, again,
Gosh, I just had a flashback of my dad. Like I always would touch my dad's foot on the way by. He'd be asleep on the couch. He got so mad.
well,
It'd shake him right out of a dead sleep, and he used to get so
that's why you
sorry.
did it.
Rest in peace, Dad. But that's what it made me think of. I cracked him up good. All the way up. One
Shout
love.
out to M's
One
dad.
love. Shout out to Annie Lee, too. Her dad didn't like his feet tickled when he was sleeping either. No. Rest in peace.
I wouldn't like my foot tickled while I was
I know,
asleep.
that one foot.
Not one foot. All right, so what?
I kissed my dog on the head.
Oh yeah.
I think I startled him. He snapped at me. I was offended a little bit, but later he did seem sorry. I got him all wound up.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, so
It's my favorite.
it just anyway.
Okay.
So in that sort of a case, I don't just go and touch my dogs. I don't even. And my dogs sleep like a brick, and I really make sure that they know I'm about to touch them, right? Before I touch them, if I think they're asleep. Because I don't want to startle them. And again, if I all of a sudden startle my dog and it's asleep and I startle it by putting my face in their face,
Yeah.
I mean, that might not end well.
Not cool.
No. And so, again, we don't think of it like that.
Right.
And, dogs aren't people. But on the other hand, they are animals. And so you
Right.
scare me out of a dead sleep, I may come swinging.
Yeah. Well, but that's different, right? A dog doesn't punch, a dog bites. Like a dog barks and a dog bites, right?
Right. They're all
Like,
teeth and feet.
There's been a couple times that you might have wanted to sock me when I scared you. I've scared you good.
Oh.
But dogs don't punch. Dogs bark and dogs bite.
Well, and again, out of a dead sleep, that can be a tough one. But I really am, body language says so much. And so this dog might have been asleep. That's different. But where we can really mistake what a dog is telling us, right? And what our perception of what they want may be at that moment.
Yeah.
Right?
That can be tricky.
There can be
people think a tail wag is always happy.
The wag doesn't mean much,
right?
It's more the positioning. Is the tail up straight or up and arched over the back? That tells me they're trying to dominate a situation or at least give that image. Is it out just straight? Well, straight tells me that they're generally alerted to something, focused. When it just hangs down, it's just relaxed. That says the dog's relaxed. And when it's tucked under, that's generally a fear response. It's also good to know what your dog's front end is doing and saying, because the back end may be putting out one signal, but the front end is saying a little bit of some different things.
Oh, I'm thinking again of the bite sleeve. The front end is doing one thing and the back end looks pretty happy.
Well, that, yes.
Like
well,
to a civilian.
Well, but they are
that.
happy,
right? But the front end doesn't look or sound happy, right?
I see what you're saying, right? Well, and that's because again, we've taught the dog that we want you to escalate to this point,
right?
The dog's just doing everything we've taught it to do. right? And so again, that's very much the same. Um,
Yeah, don't put your face in your dog's face when they're sleeping.
yeah,
Hmm.
those kinds of things. And again, knowing body language, and it's pretty easy to just look up dog body language on Google. There's some
It's
great
pretty
pictures.
solid. Yeah.
A lot of clients that have issues, I direct them to do that, and I'll actually show them some pictures that I really like, but there's a lot that are some caricatures that have been drawn up that really give good examples of
Hmm.
body language
I agree.
and what that means. So,
So that leads me, I have two more things that I want to talk about, and they're sort of connected to what we've been discussing. So one is meeting a new dog, like in someone's house, like being a guest in someone's house. And then the second is on the street, meeting a dog on the street. So what I want to hear about is like best practices, do's and don'ts. So I'm a home health nurse, but
mm.
I have a lot of education because of you about how to behave when I meet a new dog. So I don't really want to talk so much about that, but I want to hear what you would advise someone how to be the best dog meter, right? Like, let's say I really want to pet every single dog that I see. Always, every single dog. It's really hard for me not to. So
Mm.
teach me how to be the kind of person who interacts with a dog like a dog friend, a responsible, safe dog friend.
I mean, if you're just out in public randomly, leave them alone.
Just don't.
Yeah, leave them alone. Leave the people alone. Just because I have a dog, I don't want you to come talk to me. You wouldn't come talk to me if I don't, right? I
Right.
mean,
If
that's
you
part
didn't
of
have
it,
a
right?
dog.
And so I kind of joke around about that a lot, leading into the next thing I'm going to say, because I tell my clients to tell people who randomly try to come up and meet their dog out in public to tell people no. And that's because I don't want my dog thinking every single person it sees, it's going to get to say hi to. That's what leads to me being dragged down the road.
Right. Over
Yeah,
socialization.
because the dog thinks that every single person we're going to encounter, that this is going to be
That
what
that's
goes on,
that's their
right?
sole desire in the world is to,
A hundred
yeah.
percent, and they totally ignore the owner, and the owner just loses complete control. And maybe the dog's, barking and excited and whatever. Well, then the dog gets to that person and gets rewarded for that behavior,
Yep.
and then it's just that downward cycle. So a couple things: if I'm out in public and I'm the one handling the dog, that's generally what I'm going to tell people. No, thank you. About the first
Can I pet your
the
dog?
first 6 to 8 months, my dog gets flooded with people and other animals and all kinds of exposure to things. But then, we hit that age and we stop all the actual interaction with the people or
Mhm.
the animals so the dog can learn neutrality. That I'm going to go out in these settings, but I need to pay attention to my owner, and when and if they'll let me know that I can
Oh,
say hi.
right.
And otherwise, I need to just disengage with that and just worry about what my handler wants out of me right now. It's
Hmm.
always me and my handler, and that's what I ultimately want
I
to try
like
to
that.
create. So that's coming from the person holding the leash.
Yep.
Now, why don't you just be responsible and leave the other person that you want to run up to and bounce up and down in front of
Yeah.
and wind their dog up?
Oh,
Why don't you
unkind.
why don't you just
Leave them alone.
yeah.
Just leave. Just don't.
Well, right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's dead
Like, don't
honesty.
come sneeze on my baby. Don't come wind up my dog.
Well, right. And a lot of times when we're out in public and I'm with clients, we're really trying to teach these dogs
Hmm.
how to hold it
That's
together.
the whole, yeah,
A
goal.
100%. So you're really actually helping this person out drastically by not engaging and not jumping up and down and not forcing
It's a
yourself
much bigger
into
help.
that situation.
Hmm.
That's going to be far bigger. Okay, so that's right then.
So you're a better dog friend by leaving the dog alone.
Correct. No,
Now, can we pause there?
sure.
Because I want to ask you to give the listeners language. How do I tell someone don't play with my dog? Because that's hard. It's hard to say it. Remember Vanessa? Shout out Vanessa. Has such a hard time with that, right?
Well, yes, but if it was your kid, you wouldn't have a hard time.
Right. If a stranger approached your kid, wanted to touch them or cuddle them or sniff them or just stroke their hair, you would be alarmed, right? Wouldn't you? You'd be alarmed and standoffish.
Yeah.
But
And
you give
so,
people access to your dog.
well, but you feel bad by saying no,
Mm,
right? Again, if you were
suck it up.
somewhere and you're standing at the register, right? And somebody starts bouncing up and down, all
Yeah.
excited in your kid's face and takes them out of the cart,
Uh-uh.
right? Like that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to say that, but it's acceptable for people to do that with my dog. That's why I
Right.
jokingly, well, half jokingly, and if you don't know me, I just um, I'm just kind of wise and whatever. But in that sort of a case, you wouldn't come up to me just randomly if I didn't have a dog.
Right. So
Okay.
don't come up
So
to me.
that's
Yeah.
one piece. Now, here's the other part. I really try hard when I'm in public with a dog to ignore people. I
Mm.
don't make
Oh,
direct
right.
eye
Don't make eye
contact.
contact.
I don't smile at them. They might tell me that I have a beautiful dog. I say thank you and I keep walking. My
Sometimes you don't
attention,
even answer them. Yeah.
correct. My attention, it's very clear, is solely on my dog and trying to work with my dog at
Yeah.
that moment. And I'm very obvious about it. You
That's
know,
true. All your nonverbal language says, don't talk to
don't
me.
engage
I'm
with me.
busy. That's
Yes.
the message
It's
you're giving
it's
off is
me and
I'm
my dog.
busy. Yeah.
Right. And so just that alone helps to get the message
Mm. Yep.
across in most cases, right?
Yep.
And so I'm just not looking super approachable and I'm not being super
It's true.
smiley and I'm not making eye contact
Yeah.
with
Some
you.
of you have seen that.
Right. And so with those sorts of things, I don't have to be mean to somebody
Right.
now. If they really continued up to me and asked, it's just a no, thank you. I'm training my dog right now. And I leave it at that
Yep.
because I find the more I say, the more
The
it
worse
can
it
lead me
gets.
down a rabbit
Yeah.
hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's just me and that
Just be
dog. Like
clear,
I'm
be
not
open, be honest.
I-
No, thank you.
if I go through the whole dialogue of well and someday and this and
Yeah.
what it's
Now it's a
too much,
whole.
and now people really continue to try to push in a lot of cases a
Sure.
little bit more and a little bit more, and so that's where we need to feel comfortable with putting up the boundary with our own property.
Yeah.
If it was anything,
Just be
not even a
confident.
child, if it was anything of
Yeah. What if somebody
yours,
came after your phone?
yeah,
Right?
start digging in your
You wouldn't have a
pocketbook.
problem with saying excuse me.
Right, right, but
Excuse me.
because it's my dog,
Right.
I'm going to offend people. So that's be confident in yourself. There's no reason you can't tell somebody no, thank you, and keep walking.
Yeah.
If I don't stop to talk to people. When I'm in those
Yeah.
scenarios, I'm not looking to hear how many dogs you've owned or your parents owned or how your best friend's father's uncle once
Right.
saw a dog on a plane.
No,
Like
write a letter to someone else.
well,
This is not the time.
right, I'm busy right
Right. This
now,
is
and
not the
I'm really
time.
trying to work with and train my dog and teach it the behaviors that I'm
Right.
looking for.
Got it. So I can be a better dog
Mm.
friend by leaving that dog alone.
Now, it's the same when I go into somebody's house, or if you were to come to me with your dog. I don't.
Like when you meet a client's dog for the first time?
Yeah, I ignore most dogs.
Oh, talk about that.
Well, it's because I don't want to reward behavior that we're trying to fix. So it doesn't matter if you're barking and lunging at me because you want to eat me, or if you're trying to barge through the door and tackle me because you love me and you want to kiss me.
Right.
I don't want to, neither of those behaviors do I want.
Sure.
And with the dog that wants to eat me, if I act like it ain't no thing and I just sit down and, you're on
Right.
one end of the room and I'm on the other, and you got the dog on a 6-foot leash, all right,
You can want to eat me all day.
yeah, right. I'm just not going to engage
Right.
about it. And, we go from there. And it's the same thing with a dog that wants to just tackle you and love you and kiss you. Again, that's not something I want either. So just like we've talked about rewarding behaviors we don't want, all of a sudden this dog comes and tackles me at the door to tell me how much it loves me.
Yep.
I don't want to stand there and pet and love the
Right.
dog and tell
Or
it.
if it wants to jump on me because it wants to tell me how much he loves me. He wants to kiss my
Correct.
face. And
Correct.
he's way down there and my face is way up here and jump and jump and jump.
Yeah. So in that sort of an example, you know, a lot of times when guests first show up, my dogs are either away
In their crates.
or they're on leash.
Yeah.
And especially if it's somebody who's never been into my home. And let's say it was a home health nurse.
Sure,
Right.
right.
And I'm in bed or, you know, not super mobile. And I tell the home health nurse to just come in.
Oh, just come on in. They're friendly.
Ah,
It's fine. They're friendly.
no, thank you. Because you don't know what's going to go on. And now I've got, you know, the owners who's got some sort of ailment enough so
Yeah,
that I have to
right.
come into their home to care for them. And I'm going to just expect that my dogs
Yep.
are going to be cool with that.
I had one house that I never sat down in because I could tell that if I sat down on the furniture, the dogs would feel like they had full access to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could just feel it.
Right.
So I just never sat down.
Right. So in that sort of a scenario, obviously that's different than if you were, you know, going to a friend's house for dinner.
Yes.
Right. But
if I come over your house for dinner, I might just say it. Can we put your dogs away?
Well, you know, there's a lot of cases I keep my mouth shut because
yeah, because you're off duty.
Yeah, if you're not paying me, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your dog, right?
And it's none of our business.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I
none
guess
of our business.
right. I'm not there to tell you. Just like if I go into my friend's house who's a doctor, he doesn't start telling me what to do to change my life,
Right.
Especially if he's not my doctor. On top of that, right? Like I walk in and my friend all of a sudden starts telling me,
by the way,
how to change my health, and you're not even my doctor, right? And so that's the same scenario.
Right.
I feel the same way. Like you haven't hired me, and it's rude for me to force my opinion on you, right? If you haven't asked for it, that's not my place.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of times I don't say anything, and yeah, you know, I ignore the dog in a lot of cases if it's a turd and it's just dying to have attention. It goes and bothers to get that attention somewhere else,
right,
and just leaves me alone because I'm not feeding into that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we've been there, and you know, the dog comes over after I'm sitting down, and you know, nicely comes up and wants to engage with me. Okay, I engage with the dog at that point, but I don't come through the door screeching, jumping up and down, winding the dog up. Yeah, telling it how great it is, you know,
making sounds like a chew toy.
Right. And respect what the owners want. Because the other thing I have to remember is it's not my dog.
Right.
So if you want that dog to behave in a certain manner, whether good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to respect that. And again, it goes back to the fact that I have to respect any way that you would take care of your property.
Yeah, it's none of my business.
Your kids, your car, your anything like that. If you didn't ask me to, I got a lot of friends who are dentists, and nobody comes over to my house and opens my grill up and starts telling me the things I need to do differently. Right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Brad Rand.
Shout out to Brad Rand. Taryn Porter.
Taryn Porter. Marcus Wilkerson.
Kevin Wright. Dr. Kevin Wright.
Right.
Dr. Buxton. Dr. Guerrero. All of them. We have so many dentist friends.
Well, we
oh
really
my gosh.
do.
I hope we didn't miss any.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. But shout out to all our friends who are dentists.
Frost. Noah Frost.
Well, but if you're not in the area, it's easy for it to, you know, get off the radar.
Anyways.
But shout out Noah Frost.
One last thing. And I want to just like underline, reinforce ignoring the dog. Like I do that. I'm so good. You taught me so good. I'll just ignore the dog. And when I get there, if I know there's going to be dogs loose, and they're not supposed to be, okay? So if you are receiving home health, put your dogs away, please. So I can hear the dogs, right? And they're coming to the door. Number one, I never open the door and walk in. I would never do that. Some people would do that. I would never do that. Even if I had been there before. If the dogs are on the other side of the door, loose, I'm not going to walk in. So number two, as I come in the door, I say to the owners, I'm going to ignore your dogs. okay. And we all kind of eye contact, and I just ignore them, and I let the owners do whatever they're going to do, however they parent their dogs or whatever. And eventually the dogs usually settle by my feet somewhere on the floor near me somewhere. And that it's then when I'll say like good dog, or I'll say to the owners, hey, look how good your dog is doing. This is a really good time to give them some praise. Hey, good dog.
Yeah. Well, and again, we go back to the whole rewarding behaviors that we don't want accidentally,
Right.
right? And when you were working out on Hogan Road and out on Stillwater,
Mm-hmm.
right? You would send me a text on my way, anywhere you are,
Yep. Yep.
right? You always let me know, and I knew that at that point get Bell set up on leash
Yep.
or have the dogs
Right.
X, Y, or Z so I could teach them how we're going to operate when people would come over
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have a gazillion people constantly in and out of my house, right? But I know you're going to have to come and go to for work at
Yeah.
least
At least
once.
twice a day, right? You're gonna leave and you're gonna come back.
Right.
Like,
And so you don't rush out the door behind mom and you don't go tackle her when she
right.
comes through the door.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so in that kind of a case, I use my family members. Well, then, if I have to, however it is, I execute that they're not going to, that they're going to stay right with me.
Mm-hmm.
Unleash is probably how it's going to go down at first, unless your dog has this rock solid stay. But what I really need to do is dog stays with me. I said hi to you, but then you would come in, put yourself down, you would go to the bathroom, you would do
We
whatever
don't make a
you
big
needed
deal out of
to
it.
do, right? And then once you'd been home a little bit,
Yep.
5-10 minutes, and the dog had chilled back out, excuse me, then I would let the dog go ahead and say hi and greet you,
Yep.
and again on a chill level, not this
Yeah, even now with
screeching,
Red and
jumping up and
Thumper,
down.
we do
Yeah.
that a little bit. Like we work on door behavior
Oh,
with them when they're
100%.
jerks.
Yeah.
And when I come home, I try to give you attention before I give them attention, right? Also just kind of giving that message.
Right. And
Yeah.
they're good about things. Like they just want to come over and say hi, and they don't
Yeah, they want to
jump
know
on
where I've
us.
been, and
Generally Thumper will go pick up a bone and come trotting towards us because
yeah,
that's something that we've
because
really
she's so
always
mouthy.
done is really try to teach our dogs get
When they're excited, get a bone.
bone and actually a command we've come through with that, get a bone or
Yep.
get a toy.
Yep.
Where's your toy? We've always taught them that, so then they have something in their mouth. And Thumper has really learned to, she comes up and she'll kind of shuffle around you if you pay any attention to her, but if you don't really, she goes back and
Yeah,
chills out until
right.
you go to say hi. Our dogs really don't spaz out, and that's because we've really tried to teach them that. And I need to, especially because if you were to come in with your dog and my dog's a complete fool
Yeah,
when you come through the door, how does that look?
it doesn't look good.
No.
Why am I going to call you for a trainer? How am I
Yeah.
going to recommend you to my friends? Right.
Right.
I mean, we have problems with our dogs. We have some areas that we just allow bad behavior because we like the result. We like the outcome of snuggling with our dogs on the couch, for example.
Yeah.
Right. So that, that comes with other things that are just par for the course. We can go into that next episode. I want to talk about two things next time: dogs on furniture and dogs in cars.
Mhm.
And hopefully we'll get some questions from people.
Yeah, please give questions because this is something that we'll be looking to do on a regular basis.
So fun.
And again, with the response that was given last time, we would like to be able to give people what they need and what they want. Of course, this has gone up on M's channel, but Titanium K9, you can see she's got the lovely logo.
Yep,
One-legged dog
titaniumk9.com.
trainer.
He's a one-legger.
Best way to get a hold of me is through the website titaniumk9.com.
Mm-hmm.
Although we're on most social media platforms, the best way to communicate really is right through the website.
Yeah, 100%. Good. Is there any other news coming up or anything we need to share?
No,
not for TK9.
Nope.
Okay. Good job. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. See you next time.